Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around for the last day of the meeting to turn up here at my talk on HR analytics. My name is Lauren Misch, and today I'll be telling you about our beautiful partnership with InterWorks. I'm from AbbVie, and we'll tell you all about our Tableau use case for HR analytics. So again, welcome. Really glad you guys were able to stick around. I appreciate that. Hope you've had a wonderful conference so far. And I want to thank InterWorks and Tableau Conference for giving me this opportunity to speak here. I really appreciate it. I'm really delighted. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are at AbbVie. Just based on some of the conversations I've had at the meeting, not everyone recognizes the company name. So we are a biopharmaceuticals company. Some people are familiar with Abbott Labs. They divested some of their businesses a little over 5 years ago, and we became AbbVie. Our big claim to fame is Humira, the psoriasis drug. I'm sure you've seen some of the commercials, and if you haven't yet, you'll see them now, and you'll know it's AbbVie. We're also launching a women's health campaign for endometriosis, so you'll notice that as well. So we're always guided by people, passion, and possibilities. And if you caught the keynote at the very beginning with the VP from Pfizer, as a biopharmaceutical company, we have kind of a similar vision statement. We really want to have a remarkable impact on patient lives. We want to develop the best medicines to cure serious health issues. So what kind of impact are we having? In 2017, we were getting medicines to over 26 million patients globally, so in more than 200 countries. And we are treating over 30 conditions. So I mentioned psoriasis and endometriosis, but of course we're looking into lots of other issues and conditions. We're growing in the oncology and neurology areas, big areas of expansion for us right now. And we're doing it by investing in science. We have over 8,000 scientists working in the R&D space. And in 2017, we invested almost $5 billion in our research and development. A quick fun fact is that 1 in 7 AbbVie employees have a PhD. So we got a bunch of winners working on these problems. A little bit more about where we are, what's going on. We have about 30,000 employees globally, and about 13,000 of those folks are in the United States. Here are some of our sites. I sit at the Lake County site, which is just north of Chicago. This map was not generated with Tableau. This is part of the AbbVie corporate deck that you guys get a peek at today. Along with some of the sites you see there, we have some of our major manufacturing centers across the globe. So now that you know what we're trying to do externally, what AbbVie is about, what is it like to work at AbbVie? And I'll tell you about our talent philosophy. So in my very limited anecdotal experience of working with 2 major corporations now, my very small sample size, I can say that this talent philosophy at AbbVie is kind of special. We have 5 major parts to it. And this is all going to be important for what we're trying to do in HR analytics. What's going on overall culturally at the company is guiding us in what we're trying to deliver when it comes to our HR metrics that we're working through with Tableau. So just briefly here, obvious one is performance. We do want to drive performance if we're going to deliver the best medicines to impact patient lives. So that's a given. But we want that to be also guided by excellent behaviors. We want people to be respectful of each other, have a place for diversity and inclusion. We want all of this to happen along with great performance. You don't have to just deliver great results, but be a jerk while doing it. So we're really emphasizing that behaviors are important. We also are talking about differentiation. And when we say that, it comes back to performance and that we want to reward people who are performing really, really well, who are exhibiting excellent behaviors and leadership on their teams. And we also want to manage out and help to develop folks that aren't making as excellent contributions. So we're trying to recognize both ends of the spectrum, opposed to just saying everyone's right down the middle and average. Accountability is important to us as well. You as the employee are accountable, but also we're asking managers to be accountable for their employees at AbbVie. We want them to have a vested interest in their career development. So in understanding how that employee is performing throughout the year, what their goals are, if they're achieving on them, actually talking about that throughout the year instead of having just one and done performance management, we'll never talk about it again. And that brings us to transparency. We want that ongoing discussion about performance, about talent, about how you're meeting your goals or if you're not, what you need, what kind of support is required, how your team's interacting, et cetera. So we want all those 5 things to come together to drive an excellent culture at AbbVie, and not just in R&D with the scientists, not just with the accountants or just in HR or just with the lawyers, for everyone. All approximately 30,000 of us are governed by this. So we're trying to facilitate AbbVie's talent philosophy through our people insights analytics. We've really prioritized internal talent development. So we want to recognize who our leaders are at the company and get the career development opportunities that they need. Get them the breadth and the exposure and the movement so that they have everything they need to really contribute to AbbVie. So we want to keep those folks around. We want to retain them. We want to incentivize them staying here and offering excellent performance. For people who aren't performing as well, we want to train them and give them the development opportunities they need, put them into a role where they can succeed. So we're really focused on all of our employees internally here at AbbVie. And we think by doing this, it'll allow us to create the most excellent medicines to impact patient lives. So that brings us to the use case. How is HR going to understand our demographic, all the people working at AbbVie, and make sure that we're following the talent philosophy, that we're understanding where we are, where we stand with some of these things? And so we have to look at all of our different data sources if you're going to get any insights. And anyone who's working on Workday might know that connecting data from disparate sources can be really frustrating. We have a lot of reports coming out of our system, some that have a unique identifier, some that don't. And the emphasis is on many, many reports, not just how many folks are in this country, how many women are in this country, how many people are in this compensation grade band, how many people graduated from this university, all these different things in all different reports. So step 1, let's bring it all together, and let's give our business HR somewhere where they can go, a one-stop shop where they can learn about the state of things and take action based on that information. And so we did this through Tableau, surprise. And it's through our excellent partnership with InterWorks that we were able to develop this resource. And we really wanted to go from 0 to 100 right away. We weren't interested in just delivering some quick head count metrics and moving on with our lives. We wanted to deliver everything at once. So this is kind of a quick view of what it came out looking like. Anyone who's familiar with HR analytics will recognize some of the metrics we've decided to deliver here. So things like headcount, how many, where, why. I mentioned talent development through internal movement, so we're tracking movement of employees. Of course, there's turnover, the inverse of retention. We've talked a little bit about talent. We do have a talent assessment throughout the year. And finally, the natural performance assessment that happens during the year as well. We have some links there to talent acquisition pieces about filled and open requisitions. So this is the landing page where our users can go to get quick insights about their business group. You'll notice the filtering along the top. We have some filters there for the business group or the location. But we really wanted to deliver something that would be flexible enough to allow our users to find out whatever they needed about their unique little niche group. And so we wanted also for everyone to kind of have early adoption on this. We wanted to spin it up really quick. We piloted it But with the help of InterWorks, we had some videos made to get our users kind of familiar with the system. Everyone's kind of anxious about a new tool. Nobody had used Tableau before. So I want to show you one of the videos that InterWorks helped us put together to just get people familiar with what the interface would look like, how to use it. You guys all know how to use Tableau, but we're really excited about it. I'll briefly mention, and I had a disclaimer on the last slide, that everything you'll see is just fake data here today, not indicative of what it's really like at AbbVie. That'll be obvious in this video when you see like 5%, 10%, 75%, percentages that don't generally occur naturally. So let's roll through on that. So it's safe to say that this basically blew everyone's minds when we rolled it out, because so rapidly they could find everything that they wanted to know about their business group and deliver it to their leader in a way that was quick and clear. And they could do this, at regular intervals. If they had a quarterly business update, they had all the information they needed at their fingertips. So along with helping us get it designed and get it functional, InterWorks added for us this lovely portal, the wrapper that everything sits inside here. So it's got a slick-looking, AbbVie band at the top, but really the most important feature are the nested filters. So I have like the icon hovering over the filters on the right. I mentioned that we want this to have tremendous flexibility. Some of our users would tell us, well, if I can't filter by this cost center or insert bizarro little thing here, then it's not valuable to me. I can't use it at all. So by adding that, we were able to hide an absolute slew of filters that our users could pick through and decide what they needed there. Of course, I saw a keynote with the new features about the zone visibility and all that, so that's all very exciting. But this has been a tremendous help to us right now to keep everything really clean and clear and hide those filters over on the side. Of course, they can do all the things that they're used to doing. We've even got this apply button at the bottom, so if they're used to selecting filters and hitting apply, it all kind of works the same way. We're making use of all sorts of features that you're probably familiar with in Tableau, like the tooltip. Here I'm demonstrating that we have all these definitions that go into the various metrics. I'll focus on headcount a lot in this talk because, as simple as it seems, it's one of those things that can be defined completely different all of the time. We joke if you ask 5 people what is the headcount, you'll get 5 different answers. And as long as we're all like within an order of magnitude, we're going with it. It's fine. So here we have a specific definition on how we're defining headcount as it relates to status and employee type. Along with that, we have kind of some spark lines underneath the major values there. And by keeping the labels hidden and just using the tooltip, they can find all sorts of information about the point in time, the amount of movement that was happening, and the breakdown of those moves. So the counts, whether it's promotions, laterals, etc. Within each tile, we have kind of 2 icons, 2 actions that will allow us to drill into the more granular details behind everything you see here. So we have an arrow for trends and a little Venn diagram for comparisons. So each tile gets that. And if you drill into the trends, for example, you come to a page like this one. So you're still getting some of the basic information read out, the total head count, you'll see that spark line. And then we've got things like external hire information. We're making use of the parameters here because someone might say, oh, I don't want to just know the headcount each year. I want to know what the actual growth versus a period in time was, or maybe I want to focus in on something like external hires. So that's been really valuable to us to not have to change our view, but be able to toggle between those different measures there. The same is true for the comparisons. So if they want to drill into more of a current point in time instead of looking over the past 3 years, for example, or past 12 months, they could drill into comparisons and come to a page like this one. Here you're going to see some of what you've seen before, but now in the drop-down you can look at all the different dimensions in this parameter that you could compare by. So maybe it's by compensation grade. You want to see how many folks are in each business group, compare that way. Here I think I'm showing you the tenure at the company. But what's really almost most valuable of all to us is that we've added the ability to get into the employee list that makes up those summary values. I know this is kind of a controversial thing. In one of my previous roles, we'd be like, no row level data, no data, none for you and none for you. But in this case, we can't expect all of our business HR to go to Workday, do the joins, do the pivots, and come up with the same list that we've gotten, especially if they went on a different day, different snapshot point in time. Welcome to my nightmare. So here they can actually drill in and get the list of employees that make up that summary information. So there's a couple important caveats here. We do have row level security in place. So all users can see aggregate values for the entire enterprise globally. No problem. You can go in, find out where everyone is at AbbVie. That's great. But if you would like to drill in and see details about the individuals there, you're only going to have access to your affiliate. So it could be your country, for example. This becomes really important in like Europe with the Works Council's countries. So if you're in Germany, where you're impacted by GDPR, you're only looking at those individuals rolling up to the site in Germany and their details associated with it. So we kind of have those two levels of permissions there. Everyone gets summary. Do you have a question?
Well, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask, do you do that security in Tableau or under the backend?
We've actually explored both, and we've moved towards doing most of it through Tableau Server. So once you generate something like Active Directory groups, you can decide which sheets that each group's going to get access to, and then put that user filter from the server onto the sheet where you have the row details. Yeah. We also experimented when we were kind of more primitive with doing like a security table in the back. With lists of employee IDs as to who gets access to what back there as well. So there's a couple ways to go about it. But the server is extremely flexible. So if you don't have admin rights on your Tableau server, this would be tricky for you to implement. You need to be able to access your server and really manipulate it to either generate local groups or access your Active Directory groups that IT might help you set up to run the permissions here. But it's extremely flexible. Like, it's everyone's #1 concern with privacy and confidentiality when it comes to personal employee data. And we really feel confident that we can restrict it in the way that is appropriate and that the lawyers are comfortable with. Yeah.
So one additional question. Do you share this with HR only, or everybody, or certain levels of the business?
It's exclusively HR at this time, and it's actually even just business HR. So just our business HR users are accessing it right now, and nobody in the business, even like those high-level leaders, are accessing it. They'll have to work through their BHR if they want to see that information. Yes?
Can you describe just a little bit what you mean by business HR? What's that distinction?
Sure. So in some corporations, you'll have an HR organization that might include things like employee relations or talent development. I technically roll up to talent development. You might have talent acquisition that does your recruiting. So you'll have all these groups under your giant HR blanket. And then business HR is typically the group that's interfacing with the business and those leaders, both to get them the metrics and information they need to help them guide on hiring, help assist in their performance reviews, use. So at AbbVie, this is maybe a little over half of the HR organization is business HR. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you say that again, please? You know, our team has access to it. It's not something we're delivering in this dashboard here. It's not exactly our realm. We're really more focused on kind of that basic demographic information and what might need to be known for hiring trends, what's going on with attrition. So when it comes to compensation, that's more, we call it our total rewards group. Some people call it comp and ben, you know, something like that. That's really more their area. So we haven't delivered that quite yet. They do collaborate, but for example, like I mentioned, this resource is only being delivered to business HR at this time, so we're not delivering it to our compensation folks right now. So even though we're trying our best not to work in silos at AbbVie, we are being cautious with how we're delivering that information, even within HR. Well, this is great to have so many questions because I really have come to the end of the content that I wanted to share with you. We think that by working with Tableau, working with InterWorks to generate this tool, our teams can facilitate the talent philosophy, and that contribution to the company overall is going to allow AbbVie to achieve its goals and develop the best medicines to impact patient lives. So as usual, people, passion, possibilities. I must remind you to please complete the session survey, but I will be more than happy to take any of your questions at this time, talk through anything else we saw here. So thank you very much. Let me go here in the front first, please.
Which platform to go with?
Yes.
Did you look at any of the dedicated HR platforms when you chose? Like, we're at that stage right now where we're getting ready to start up an HR analytics function. And so, you know, we're kind of, we've got Tableau already in our IT side that they'll let us tag onto, but we're also looking at, I was just wondering if you looked at any of the HR dedicated analytics platforms like a Vizier or some of those. Did you explore that, or did it always just kind of focused on Tableau?
In my previous role at Intel, we looked at some other tools like Power BI or like Business Objects. Some of these things were already being used, a little bit more primitive. But we ended up landing with Tableau actually in both of those cases while I was in analytics at Intel and with AbbVie. And I mean, I can't like sing its praises enough, to be completely honest. I know, like, hello, sales pitch for Tableau, you guys are all here. But it's really excellent. So I don't have a ton of like data points for other BI tools to compare it to, but I'm quite delighted with the result. There was someone here in the back? Yeah.
Probably have a good voice.
So kind of related to that, I'm just curious if you describe your pre-Tableau state. What did it look like? I mean, did you have anything, or was it just completely ad hoc and chaotic, or what did that look like?
Yeah, ad hoc and chaotic is a good way to describe it. We went to Workday almost as soon as we split from Abbott, which was prior to my time at AbbVie. So some of these things were in place before I got there. And so there was an expectation that everybody in HR was going to go to Workday, export an Excel or CSV file, distill what they could from that list of information, or harass my colleague Adi in the back here, who was on the team, to get the information that they needed. Because those capabilities don't necessarily lie within your HR organization. So there was a lot of relying on the People Insights team to get the information they needed, a lot of macros in Excel, a whole lot of VBA, Wild Wild West. Yeah, so it was kind of a little messy beforehand. We'll go in the back first. Thanks.
Just curious what you use as your back end with all this data.
Yeah, so we started by using Alteryx. We started using taking all the reports once a month, dumping them out, joining them up, with Alteryx and then dumping them into our Tableau workbook. We now have a partnership with IT where they're taking those Workday reports and putting them into an Oracle database for us, which is a tremendous achievement. So like saves us so much time. And so that's been a long time coming, but yeah, we're basically hitting the Oracle database to get all the information that we were once joining from different reports in Workday.
Going back to the row level of detail that you share with the HR based on their location, does that information contain any comp? It wasn't clear to me, so no, there's no comp.
I specifically didn't include a view of that just for, you know, to keep the lawyers happy here. I didn't even want to flash up like a pretend name with the fields that we are sharing with, but it'll be things like management hierarchy from the top down to level 4 or 5, something like that. It'll be their compensation grade band. The information that's included on that main tab, so what their performance assessment was most recently, what their talent assessment was most recently, and then a few other basic things like their job title, their time in role. So they're maybe getting like 15 fields per individual if they drill into that list. And it's all things that they, as business HR users, could find themselves in Workday about an individual. We're just, you know, lining it up for them in a list.
So they couldn't see the exact composition?
No, they don't have access to that information in Workday or in this platform. So we did our best to mirror those Workday permissions, yep.
In our case, they do. So that I was wondering if there's a concern that made you stop sharing that information, or it is just how it works that you're...
Just how it works at this time in our business. Maybe in the future it would change, but for whatever reason we've decided that that individual compensation information is not a business need to know for all those HR employees. There was one up here. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, good 5 feet from me.
So obviously this has been well received by your business partners. What's next for you then? Obviously, that's always the next question.
Yeah, so we have several other dashboards that we're rolling out, not quite at the global scale. They're more niche things, so a focus on like talent specific. You know, if we do a talent review once a year, how can we use Tableau to facilitate that Tableau review? Where in the past, if we were using an Excel macro where someone would take a report and put it in there and then make a bunch of figures, we're like, well, let's just make all those figures in Tableau and you guys can export it as a PDF or put it into a PowerPoint and you're good to go. So those are some of the things we're doing, but we're leaning heavily on it. People like it. Like you said, you know, it's being well received, so we're gonna run with it while we have people that like it.
Hi, well, congratulations. It sounds like a great success story.
Thank you.
Probably many of us are envying. But I wanted to ask you if this was obviously an original idea that you brought to AbbVie, and if so, what were your challenges and how did that governance form? If you can share some of those insights with us.
Yeah. So I joined AbbVie about a year ago. So the idea was conceived prior to my arrival, but I will admit at my previous corporation, I was working on a similar project. I mean, if you guys are in HR, if you're doing HR analytics, you're familiar with this need to kind of deal with the operational reporting that is required on a day-to-day basis. So this was just a desperate attempt to automate our work, have a single source of truth that our users could go to, get what they need, and stop relying so heavily on our team for that kind of ad hoc reporting capability. So it was an idea that was, yes, a unique idea that was generated on the team prior to my arrival. And as they started to spin up what they wanted, they connected with InterWorks and worked very closely to design the final product that you see here today. So we knew which metrics we were reporting on with the most regularity. We knew what our customers wanted to see for the most part, and we piloted as we went along too to make sure we were getting that feedback and tweaking it. So that speaks to that piece. Was there something else?
The governance piece.
Governance, yeah. So like democratizing HR data and data governance in general is always a really tricky question, especially in our age of like Google and Facebook and hacking identities and, all of these like horrible things that go on the internets. So we were very, very cautious about this. We do, of course, have the Workday platform in place where they've already kind of decided what some of the permissions are for various job titles, which businesses can see certain information and which can't. So, I mean, that part was kind of predefined. And we did our best to kind of follow along with it so we wouldn't be reinventing the wheel on permissions. But we're continuing to grow and, not compensation. I know there's been some discussion about that, but like other pieces, for example, our recruiting team can't access some of the talent and performance information, and maybe they should be able to, so like it's an ongoing discussion we're having. If we're really gonna focus on internal development and like internal mobility, maybe recruiters need to be able to see performance assessments. So like it's something we're gonna keep talking about. It's a big company and, we're gonna come up against like red tape and legal roadblocks. So we're always like dealing with that, but people are really happy that they're able to access what they can currently, and so we'll probably continue to broaden baby steps along the way. Thanks. Anyone else? Another one? Yeah.
I know you said you've only been there for about a year.
Yeah.
How long did it take from the concept of the idea to the delivering of this dashboard?
So when I joined, they had probably been working on it for 6 months already and had deployed it to a pilot group of, let's say, like 50 users, something like that. So probably after 3 to 6 months of development, close development, like we had an InterWorks consultant come and sit on site with us for a lot of time. So with their support, in less than a year, we were able to get it out to a pilot group of users, and we do a monthly data refresh on that. And so like that's kind of our cadence, So if we're gonna make a change, we're gonna do it over the course of a month or 2 months. So once we reached that, like, okay, we've got a pilot group, next month, are we gonna add more users? Yes. Next month, add more users? Yes. So like it's been like kind of month over month rolling. So maybe like, I'll call it a year to 18 months to get where we are right now.
Is that mobile or still accessing via desktop?
Yeah, it's desktop right now. I mean, it's on our server in a browser, so through a laptop. We did toy with the idea of a mobile site. We haven't done it yet, but we have started playing with it, specifically because our CHRO only uses a tablet. Every time we get an email from him, it's sent from my tablet. So we're like, we have to develop a tablet version for him to use. So we're getting there, but we're not there quite yet.
So what are the security issues?
I don't actually foresee too many security issues with that. AbbVie employees have work issue phones that are encrypted with, they're all iPhones with the thumbprint, so like a biometric thing. So I'm not actually too concerned. From a mobile device, you have to be on the VPN too. So I mean, it's all behind the AbbVie firewall. Even if they were to lose their phone, the likelihood that someone could log in, is pretty slim. So we're feeling all right about it. There's one over here.
I was just gonna ask what your team is like. Or like how many do you have?
Yeah, so I roll up to a director, and within our greater team, I guess we have like 6 people. I'm looking at Adi. Adi's on my team. We have a couple contractors, but about 6 of us that are doing this. It's not a big group. Yeah. So it's not a huge group. The Greater Talent Development Group is about like 40 people who are like our most primary customers, and then we have the Business HR Group, which is a larger audience that is our customers. As far as backgrounds go, I guess I didn't mention, like, I have a background in chemistry. The director is an IT guy originally. I think he has an MBA now. The rest of the folks are analysts at the bachelor and master's level. We have 1 IO psychologist common in this, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you make your case to the business to get the resources to work on this? How did you get them to adopt?
Well,
to
Yeah, I will admit that it was a decision made before I got there, so I wasn't, you know, I wasn't integral in talking to the business to make the case for it. Somebody did that before I got there, and then I just got to help spin Tableau up. But I think it was relatively obvious that BHR was struggling to deal with what they needed to do, and our team was being relied on so heavily that we were going to need more headcount if we were going to continue to just pump out ad hoc reports at the rate that people wanted them. So it was either like we're going to hire 10 more analysts or we're going to buy some Tableau.
Hi, besides the portal product, are you also using other InterWorks products, like the Power Tools? Have you?
We use their support, I mean, 90% of the time. So aside from the portal, no, we don't have any other of their products necessarily, but I do have like a weekly call with Bree and Charlie, for example, where they're checking in. They're likely gonna be the ones supporting us as we continue to upgrade for coming versions. You know, if we do have any issues, even if it's not an InterWorks portal issue, but like we're struggling with something Tableau related, they give us support. So we're pretty invested in the InterWorks world.
How long did it take to customize, for them to build a customized portal for you?
The portal was ready to go. To my knowledge, this is something that, I don't know if Charlie, if you want to speak to this, that they roll this out to other folks as well. So it wasn't just created for us exclusively.
Yeah, so they used the out-of-the-box portal package. They had 2 custom modifications that they have sort of that were unique to their business, and so we put those in. So I think the platform in general, I think we just did a tweak to their platform last week based off of usage patterns. So it was up in less than 2 weeks, but then these extra mods that are custom to the AbbVie culture, those just go into a development cycle and then get added in remotely. Oh, it's quick, yeah. Other questions? I didn't get, well, I guess all the sides got a question in. I was gonna say there wasn't one over here till just now. But as far as you know, they started out with a 0 footprint, so they went from 0 to hero pretty quickly. How many users do you have now?
We have nearly 200 users.
200. Mm-hmm. So they started out with just a Tableau desktop and trying to prove out their vision. I was there from the beginning, so I can tell you that it took a while to get just the data to work, right? So I think we've all figured out you can build a visualization pretty quick, and you can refine it and get feedback from your users, but it's all about the data. And so it's really good to hear the advancement of saying, hey, we prototyped everything in Alteryx, it worked. Now IT has taken that functional prototype and now given them a full productionalized system in Oracle. That's awesome.
Yep.
And I expect you'll probably do other models like that too, and then prove it out and give it back to IT to do.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Have you removed the layer of Alteryx completely?
Yeah, well, we're 1 month away from it, I would say, because we're going to run it parallel to be sure that it's perfect, probably once or twice here. The Oracle database was in dev and then QA, and now it's reached prod. So we'll probably continue to do Alteryx for like 1 or 2 more months just next to the Oracle version, make sure it matches perfect, and then we'll dump the Alteryx workflow.
So you have Workday reports, putting in Oracle, and then you're pulling it via Tableau.
Yeah, so we export all the reports from Workday, you save them, and then you put them into an Alteryx workflow, and then it generates for you a final file, and then we build the Tableau dashboard on that file. That is with Alteryx. And then if you're going to connect to the Oracle database, when you open the window, you say, you know, connect to Oracle, and you put in the address, and then choose your view or your table, and go from there. And in a perfect world, it'll be identical to what we would have generated out of Alteryx. I think it will be. Poor Adi has tested it to death, so. Cool, yeah.
You said this is refreshing monthly?
Yeah.
Are you looking at making it more real time?
Yeah.
Daily refresh?
Yeah, we're going to go to nightly refresh probably by February. We have one of those performance and/or talent cycles coming up, and it'll be really important to let users like make changes in our system of record and then see those update that night. So a couple months away from nightly refresh. Any other questions? Thank you guys. I really appreciate the discussion. This was great. I hope you have a great rest of your conference. Safe travels home. Thank you again.